3 years ago, if you told me I'd be sitting here in the warm Florida sun with my morning coffee, living full time in a 2005 Class C RV, traveling this country 200 miles at a time, I wouldn't have believed you. I'd been dreaming about this for 20 years, but actually doing it, that seemed impossible. But here I am at 63, living proof that you can design a life you actually love, no matter how impossible it seems right now. Hi, I'm Nancy, and welcome to Making My Own Lane. Today, I'm not talking about solar panels or dump stations. Today, I want to share something more personal with you. How I went from a life sucking corporate job to designing a life that actually fits who I am. Not who I was supposed to be, not what looked good on paper, but what makes me wake up in the morning excited. And I promise this isn't some I quit my job and found myself fairy tale. This is the real story, the messy parts, the scary parts, and the beautiful parts. Let me take you back to where this really started. I'd been dreaming about this lifestyle for about 20 years, and I was about 55 when I seriously started considering this change. On paper, everything looked iffy, maybe even impossible, but there was this growing feeling like I was living someone else's version of what my life should look like. I was living the American dream. I was a homeowner, taking one or two really nice vacations a year, buying whatever I wanted, and saving money for my retirement. I found my biggest joy was planning out those vacation days, requesting the time off from work, and counting down every day until the moment I was free for a whole week, except for when my office called because they had a question or an emergency. Yes, they did that all the time. I believed that hard work was a way to achieve the American dream, and it was until I realized that no matter how much I had and how hard I worked, it would never be enough. I was surviving, probably even doing well in someone else's eyes, but I wasn't happy. In fact, as the years were going by, I found myself less happy every day, working so I could afford my mortgage and treasuring my 2 to 3 weeks of vacation time a year. I remember sitting there thinking, is this it? Is this all there is? And then came the scary thought, how many years do I have left to do something about it? That's when I realized I wasn't too old to change my life. I was too old not to. And as an empty nester, I really had no one to answer to but myself. The RV life idea didn't come out of nowhere. I'd been tent camping and camping with my daughters in a pop up camper all over Florida. But actually doing it, living it, that felt like a crazy idea. I had all the usual excuses: too expensive, too risky, too old, too alone, too I'll never be able to retire. Here's what I learned: you don't just stumble into a life you love, you have to design it. And designing it means getting really honest about what you actually want, not what you think you should want. Step one, I grabbed a notebook and I wrote down everything I hated about my current life. Not to be negative, but to get clear. Then I wrote what I wanted instead. Not vague stuff like be happy, but specific things. I hated my job. I loved it when I started, but after 14 years, I was burnt out and over it. And I wanted to work for myself. I was done with paying my mortgage. I craved being debt free. I wanted to see and travel more of the US, but spending a weekend or a week here or there and dealing with airline travel was not exciting to me. Step two, then I had to face the fear. And let me tell you, at 60 plus, the fears are different. I wasn't afraid of wasting my potential or what will this look like on my resume. I was afraid of running out of money, something happening to me with no one around, regretting it and having burned my bridges, being judged as irresponsible or crazy, and missing my family and friends and not being able to be there for them. Didn't ignore these fears. I looked at each one and asked, is this actually likely or is this my fear talking? And then, if this happened, could I handle it? Most of the time, the answer was yes. Step three, I didn't just jump in with both feet. I bought my RV, and yes, I'm still in the original RV I bought 3 years ago. Unusual, right? And after I surprised myself by quitting my job, I started to take some longer, like 6 week trips to test the waters. I still had my home and I didn't go very far, just long enough and far enough to try to figure out all the details and see if I even liked it. This was huge because it showed me what was real and what was just in my head. And I found that after 6 weeks, I still didn't want to go home. Step 4, let's talk about money because that's what stops most people. I sat down and actually calculated what my current life cost versus what RV life would cost. I sold my house, downsized everything I owned, and planned for how much money I had, how to stretch it, and eventually how I could make money while being on the road. Was it scary? Yes. But you know what was scarier? Spending the next 20 years wishing I had done this. Step 5. Next came the day when it all became real. I put my house on the market and I got an offer in 3 days, so much faster than I expected. And I had to be out in 30 days. I realized that whatever didn't fit in my RV had to go. And believe me, I stuffed that RV to the brim. But it also made it easier to get rid of my stuff, knowing that I was moving into a better phase of my life, not burdened down by things. You might think that this was overwhelming, but in reality, it was freeing. So that's how I got here. Now, let me tell you what it's actually like. This isn't all sunsets and Instagram moments. Here's the real reality check. There were days when I thought, what have I done? Solo travel at 60 means having to learn a lot of new things in a short period of time, like how to drive a 41-foot setup, where to park at night, and how far do I have to drive to get to the closest grocery store? Living in 200 square feet with 2 dogs means living with less. Less stuff than I had, but still more than I really need. Yes, the collections and the antiques had to go, but I also learned they were not bringing me as much joy as I thought they were. The loneliness is real sometimes, especially when you're traveling alone on the road. I've learned to offset my travel time with extended time spent in areas with family and friends, like spending the winter in Florida. What did I give up? A steady income, a stationary home base in one town. But I had a real tough time answering this question because I feel I've gained so much more than I gave up. While I gave up that income, I was able to find other income sources that don't stress me out nearly as much and where I'm not pushed by a manager every day to perform harder and harder, no matter how well I'm doing. I still have a home base, it just moves with me. And yes, I have to secure everything every few days or weeks to move, but it still beats having to pack a suitcase. I get to bring my bed, my food, all my clothes, and my dogs with me everywhere I go. And because I own less, there's less to manage, even with the frequent moving days. Here's the thing. Every single hard day in this life is still better than the best day of living a life that wasn't mine. Because even on the tough days, I'm choosing this. I'm living intentionally, and that makes all the difference. So, what did I actually gain by designing this life for myself and fighting to make it happen? Freedom. Not just freedom to travel, but freedom to wake up and decide what my day looks like. Freedom to be spontaneous. Freedom to stay somewhere an extra week because I love it, or leave it early because I don't. Freedom to be exactly who I am. Confidence. I've learned I can handle things I never thought I could. I've learned new skills I never thought I would need. I can solve problems. I can be uncomfortable and survive it. At 60 plus, I'm more capable than I've ever been. Connection with people. The RV community is real. I've met people from all walks of life who are doing the same thing I am in their own ways. And my relationship with my dogs, no more leaving them alone for 8+ hours every day while I go to an office. Plus, the people I left behind who matter, we're still connected. And when we do spend time together, it's usually for longer. Those relationships we've maintained are so special. And being apart helps to see how special they really are. The relationships that kind of fell apart by the wayside, well, that tells me something too. Joy, real, genuine joy, the kind that comes from having time to reflect and appreciate where I am, from not having to answer to a new manager every month, from knowing that when I'm 80 or 90, I won't be saying, I wish I had. I'll be saying, I'm so glad I did. If you're watching this and thinking, I wish I could do something like that, here's what I want to say to you. You don't have to do what I did. Your designed life might look nothing like mine. Maybe it's not in an RV. Maybe it's writing a book or traveling the world. The point isn't the RV, it's the designing. And you're not too old. If anything, 60 plus is the perfect time. You know yourself. You're done with the BS. You have perspective, so use it. Start small because you don't have to blow up your whole life tomorrow. Start asking, what do I really want? Then, what's one small step you can take toward that? Then take it. The time will pass anyway. In 2 years, you'll be 2 years older, whether you make changes or not. You might as well be 2 years older and living a life you design. I'm sitting here in my 2005 Class C, which isn't fancy, by the way, with my 2 dogs and planning my next adventure. And I can tell you, this is a life I designed, a life I love. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. What's one small step you can take toward a life you'd actually love? And if you want to follow along on this journey, subscribe to Making My Own Lane. I post new videos every week. Until next time, keep working toward making your dream a reality.